What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. This one's going to be exciting. We actually have two amazing guests, amazing entrepreneurs in the house. One is a returning guest you've seen before, probably a couple of times, and he's always into some amazing things. And my new friend, Mr. Adam Capps with RedDry. Stay tuned and check out what we have going on. All right, everybody. Welcome in, Mr. Doesn't really need much of an introduction at this point, brother. We've probably broke the internet a couple times with you, my man. Jonathan Sherwood and my man, Adam Capps with RedDry. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for having us on the show, man. It's always a pleasure to jump on the Start, Build, Grow show with you over the last few years, and it's a pleasure to be back.
Heck yeah, man.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, Adam. All right. Well, yeah, sorry, I cut you off there. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Adam, in traditional fashion, I mean, this show is at its core is about entrepreneurship, and we like to share the entrepreneurial journey, and there's a lot to learn all across the board, you know, whether you're a roofing contractor or you're any sort of contractor, or you support the roofing industry or the construction trades industry. That's what we're all about. And we're going to share some cool stories today. So, I'm going to dig in a minute with you, Jonathan, because I know you got a lot going on and some new things that you're excited about. But let's get to know Adam a little bit, man. What's your backstory and kind of how'd you get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so my first journey into entrepreneurship actually came in high school with a buddy, and we started moving some DVDs from eBay, where we would just buy a bunch and then turn around and sell them as individuals, and that grew and grew and grew until, you know, we ended up buying a bunch and got told that we had illegally found some. So at that point we shut that thing down immediately, and we decided to start getting into that would have been in college, and we started deciding to get into going and door knocking and just slinging windows, and kind of started our own business with Pella, where we were, you know, finding people that were interested in getting new windows. And we would just go knock every single day after classes, and, you know, drink a bunch of Red Bull and beat the streets. And we found a whole bunch of people that needed a bunch of help with that. So made some money doing that through college, never had to have that traditional job, if you will. And I think that kind of really started the grind of sales that I still love to this day. And this whole way of being able to say, you know, if you can communicate well, if you have a good message, if you're telling the truth, if you're educating people, that there's a market out there for good products and good installers and people who really know what they're talking about. And, you know, in a strange way, Randy, I haven't really thought about those days in a long time until you asked that question. But yeah, I guess it all kind of ties together to where I'm at today.
Yeah, and I love that, because there's always this correlation. And two things you mentioned that I'll press into. One is the whole ask for forgiveness, not permission type of thing. It's like, just, you know, so many entrepreneurs, like, I think people want to be entrepreneurs, but they're like, they try to figure everything out first before they actually go sell something or buy a lot of CDs and try to spread them out. And so, you know, I used to buy like baseball cards and get and like sell them one at a time and make money on the shipping. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. Like, just do it, you know? And again, I don't want to tell anybody to go break the law, but, you know, there's certain times if you have an entrepreneurial idea, sometimes you just got to kind of run with it, because the education, I would say, that you got from that, like, yeah, it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. You're not going to retire off it, but the education you got from it kind of laid a foundation for your entrepreneurial growth and success today.
I mean, no doubt. And really a lot of it was phone sales, you know, so at 17, just being able to pace around the driveway and call people and, you know, try to sell 10,000 DVDs and 1,000 DVDs and getting on, you know, it was guerrilla marketing in that case. You know, instead of being in the lunchroom, I would go find a teacher's computer and go onto AOL and find the 50 people in the chat rooms where it mattered, and then go market to them in those chat rooms. And, you know, would try to get out 950 emails about DVDs and titles and that sort of thing during lunch, and then see what happened in the evenings, and then get on the phone. And So, there's the hilarious illegal, like, getting a call from the government saying, your shipment has been commandeered at the border and we're going to need to have a chat. There's that side of it, but no, you're right. You're 100% right that the lessons you learn along the way, and the ability to have a phone call, and the ability to be confident on the phone, and the ability to match somebody's tone, and those sort of things were learned really early on within that, because 17-year-old kid talking to 30, 40-year-old guys sending you money, you better have a presence,
Yep. And that's exactly my second point with that, was the ability to connect and sell something. If you can connect with people, be genuine and authentic, and sell something, you'll never go broke. Right? You could try a million different things. If you could sell, like, as long as you could figure out a good product and get passionate behind it, like, you'll never go broke if you know how to sell and connect with people. Right? Speaking of Mr. Salesman, Jonathan, I mean, you were just born to sell, brother. I just like look at you and want to buy something. You're a good looking dude. Appreciate you jumping back on, bro. Yeah. Always a pleasure, man. Give me let's get the high level. I know you've been on the show before, but there's a lot of new listeners these days.
I'll keep it short and sweet, like a toddler and a tiara for the beginning of it, because we probably heard some of it on some of the shows that I've been on. But really started my entrepreneurial journey making poor decisions in the inner city, trying to make a living, non-taxable products, and
fill in the blanks from there.
Yeah, really found myself in a position just kind of like hopeless and broken, no influence, no direction, nothing like that. Didn't really have anybody speaking into my life or guiding me, and was really just trying to survive. But I found myself in a position for, God to come work his greatest miracle in my life. And in turning that around and helping me with addiction and alcoholism and all the PTSD and everything that I was left with, I found somebody that believed in me enough to sell a few roofs. And when I found out how lucrative that could actually be and take it seriously, we built a company. We ended up selling that company, G2 Roofing and Construction, in I think it was September 2016 to the I think it's Chief Operations Officer John Mansville. His name was Robert Marshall. At that time, I was already going back and forth between Denver and Dallas. Obviously, there was more low slope commercial opportunity in Dallas than there was in Denver, just 3 times the size and a lot more going on. Took a position at a development company, helped them build out their commercial roofing division as a team. We did very well. And then I sat there and told myself, man, I'm doing the one thing I said I'd never do again, but for somebody else. I'm building a roofing company. I was like, wow, why am I doing this? So they promoted me to vice president, tried to make me the president. I started becoming a gunslinger for hire. In that was in the conference circuit. In fact, that's where we met, just doing some teaching and some speaking and just getting some exposure, and really had a heart and passion for helping out the industry. They started tagging me the Roofers Up and Roofers Guy. That naturally and organically became kind of a platform for contract procurement and fulfillment. I'd throw on their shirts, help them sell, etc. And then what did I do? I did the one thing I vowed never to do again, and I opened another roofing company, except this time commercial only on a national level. And then I actually sold that one in December of last year, which was a high pressure fluid foam and coating company. And still been doing a lot of obviously commercial sales and looking for the next opportunity. I think for me, my entrepreneurship was based around one thing, and it's one thing I was really good at, and that was failure. I failed so much that I eventually made some really good decisions, and eventually was able to obtain the little bit of success that I believe that I have today. But really, I just failed my way there, and I just kept on trying different things. And when something worked, I stuck with it. And when it didn't work, I said, well, it was only money and I'm young. Let's go ahead and try something different. Now I'm a little more conservative as I've gotten older, and I had an opportunity come my way with the RedDry rapid vent system. And I'm very protective of my reputation. You know, I've only gotten behind one product I just celebrated 16 years. And that's tropical roofing products. That's no secret. Everybody knows I use those coatings. And this rapid vent and the RedDry vent systems was the only other product that I've ever stand behind, because I've seen it work and I watched it capture and seal a hole in something that we have going on in the industry, which we'll get in a little bit more here in the show. But really just kind of doing my thing and going back and forth and selling some roofs and working on these vents.
I love it. And there's something there to kind of, highlight. And that's the concept of entrepreneurship as well,
Yeah.
and a lot of us, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the world that, like, the difference is who's taking all the risk, right? Some people have brilliant minds and have a passion for working together as a team and kind of get behind something, can help people with something and want to be a part of something. And that's perfectly okay. That's that's very much needed in any industry, in our industry as well. I mean, nobody gets to the top of the mountain by themselves. So entrepreneurs need entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs need entrepreneurs. And that's, to have autonomy and to really use that set of skills within an organization, even if you're not the founder or the president of it, is still an incredible journey, right? And still you can learn and take away a lot from that. So for those of you listening to that, like, that's okay. That's a good thing. Press into that. You don't need to take all the risk. I mean, as I've gotten older, I've gotten more conservative in my days too. It's like I'm past some of the crazy risks that I used to take as an entrepreneur. So I love that, and I love that you kind of found something. I've known you for a while, and you've really made a name for yourself as an expert in the commercial roofing space. And when you called me, you're like, "Hey man, I got this new deal." I'm like, most of the time people call me like, I'm like, "Okay, cool. High five. Sorry, I love you, but high five. Congrats. Let me know. Let's talk later." But when Sherwood calls, I'm like, okay, maybe I got to listen because I do have the utmost respect for you and what you've accomplished in this industry. So you got me, my interest peaked. So what is this thing? Like, what's RedDry, and how does this thing, how is it, changing the way commercial flat roofing is being done?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to let Adam really talk about the vent itself for a moment, because he put the 2 years in to create it. So, I'll let him really talk about that. And then I want to talk about what I see it doing for the industry, what I've already seen it do, and why I personally stand behind the product. So Adam, tell him a little bit about the RedDry vent systems and the wrapping vent.
Yeah. And not to take anything away from the other partner who's not here, Chris Herndon and I have, absolutely tag teamed this together. So I'd hate to leave him out in this, even though he's not with us today on the podcast. But, really, Randy, I saw the problem as we have wet insulation and the cost is so high that it's actually above the risk that an owner is, it's above the risk line. And so owners don't want to pay for it. And it started when we lost a 500,000 square foot coating job. There was 100,000 feet of it was wet, and we lost that job, and we ended up losing that contract. And 5 months later, as the story always goes, you see another roofer up there, and there's totes in the parking lot, and there's hoses going up to the roof, and they're up there spraying it. And, I think a lot of people would get upset about that. And really the one thing that went through my head was, well, I guess he learned the lesson I learned a long time ago, which is don't talk about wet insulation, because that $1 million change order cost me the $1.5 million coating job. And it was at that point, it was like, the owner had told me he was willing to spend $300,000 to deal with it. And so when I stepped back from the situation, said, just didn't get upset about losing the money, and said, all right, what did I really learn from this? And what I really felt like I learned was that the owner told me his risk level and what he was willing to pay to take care of the wet insulation. And the 300,000, I would have lost 400,000 dealing with that, right? It was going to be $7 a foot of hard cost just to take care of it. So there was no way to do it, but I started to wonder if there was a way. And that's when we got together and started saying, look, can we actually dry this out? I don't want to sell a vent to people in the market. I don't think that roofers want another gizmo or gadget to be sold that they have to install. Certainly as a contractor, we never wanted to come back to the project or have something left over afterwards that we had to deal with. We want to be able to move on from it. And so the concept has always been, is there a way to dry this out where we can verify it, we can make it easy for the contractor, and we can help them succeed in predicting their profits, having an easier time on a coating or a re-roof job, and being able to offer their clients more security in their warranties because they have shown that the insulation was dry. And so therefore the manufacturer can never come back and say, there's a coating delamination because of wet substrate, because the answer is here's the report that shows that the substrate was completely dry before it was handed to you, 2 years after we installed it. And so that really secures a very strong warranty for their clients. It helps make them money. It keeps the job moving. It's easy to quote, and it's verified.
I love that, because this is like entrepreneurship at its core. It all starts with a question, right? It's like, what if I didn't? What if I could do that, right? What if I could execute? 100%. What if I could dry this roof out without cutting it all up and cutting out like thousands of square feet? Like, and then the mice in your head just kind of start going, right? I know that's how I operate. Like, what if? Challenging the status quo, do something different. And then you stumble across something pretty cool. And this is, I know we talked a little bit about this, Jonathan, on the phone a little bit, but you could probably do a screen share too if you really want to kind of show it to us. But so essentially, let me just, just a neophyte, commercial roofing guy here, if that's the case. And what do I do? So apparently, if I come across a roof, and coatings is a big thing, right? And I support that. I think it's a great option as a real estate investor myself. It's like we all. You got to kind of put yourself in the shoes of your clients, and not just of, well, I'm just going to install nothing but 90 mil TPO, and that's going to be great in a perfect world, but people don't need that, or that's not in people's budgets, right? So the coating and foam world really is a great segue, especially costs are rising everywhere and across the country. Inflation's crazy. But we still need roofing products. We still need to protect our assets, right? As investors. So coatings has been a big thing. I know, Jonathan, you've been a major advocate for coatings for a long time now. And then now you have a way, and I've ran into this many times. Get on this job, you grab your FLIR camera, you run into it's all there's a lot of moisture spots in there, and you're like, well, I gotta get this thing dry first before I can coat it and put a warranty on it and do this the right way. And then that just opens up Pandora's box, and it can get ugly. The change orders, and it's just like, you open up a 10 by 10 section and all of a sudden it's 20 by 20. Next thing you know, it's half the roof. And you're like, well, that wasn't fun. So you were able to create a vent that goes into the roof, and it essentially dries out everything underneath. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're actually using your standard Marathon two-way vent. We have them modify it just slightly for us to be able to increase airflow. But we're using a standard Marathon two-way vent, and so I'm happy to share. I think it's a pretty good idea here, really quick. It doesn't look like my computer's going to allow me to do it, but we can certainly. I can give a link to you that you can put in the description for all the listeners, where they'd be able to click on it and just go directly from here, from your show description directly to it, and see for themselves. But what we're doing is we're taking solar power and we're utilizing industry standard vent systems to rapidly dry the roof down, and being able to use on roof moisture examination instead of just thermal to be able to verify actual moisture percentages in the roof. And I think that last part for a manufacturer, and the reason that every manufacturer we've talked to has just gravitated to this, has been it's verified. We finally have something, and in the past, there's been this wall that we have had between us. We stand with the owner on one side and the manufacturer stands on the other after we hand it over to them. And we say, look, the roof was dry. We walked it. I've walked 10,000 roofs in my day. I know exactly what a dry roof feels like. I've done the same thing. We took cores. The cores were dry. We did some pin pricks. The pin pricks were dry, right? Here's what we did. We know it was dry. If you are having an issue with your coating, it's surely due to your own coating, not due to anything that we, as the contractor, did during installation. And that's a wall that's been between us that's quickly coming down, Randy. And the reason is because we are starting to see what I would call the eagle view of thermal imaging coming online in the roofing industry. And so, in the past, it was if there's wet insulation and we leave it, they may or may not know. Now it is, if you leave it, they will know, because they are going to be able to go back and look retroactively and take a look at the thermal data of these roofs to see if there was actually any change in it. And so really, you know, that can feel threatening, but in my mind, it really just gives us this opportunity to say, look, the only thing I need is I need something in my Google Drive file that shows that this roof was dry. And, you know, to be able to go do that. And that's something that RedDry will work on as well, as, you know, we're leasing equipment to contractors to be able to give them at no cost the ability to go do a thermal or to do a moisture scan. We're putting the reports together. You know, we're doing the things on the front end that are going to really support contractors' ability to have that document in their Google Drive file. And also, and Jonathan can speak to this a lot more than I can, but to close jobs on the front end. So this is really something where, yeah, it's great on the back end once you've sold it and everything, but how, you know, we look at this and say, this is something, and moisture scans in particular, whether you find moisture or not, whether you use RedDry or not, moisture scans are a way to close deals. And owners love them. So, I mean, I'll turn it over to the, you know, real estate owner and the contractor here to talk more about it. But that's certainly the direction that we're headed, as we want to support contractors.
Man, so many good things have been brought up in both the things that each of you just said. So I'm going to try to touch on some of those points real quick. So I think we're going to be drinking from a fire hose here for a second. But let me tell you what got my attention with the rapid vents. So obviously the rapid vent was brought to my attention. First thing I say is, okay, let me see it work. You want me to use this system? I want to see it work. So I went out to Orlando, Florida, and we were on a large mall, and they installed the rapid vent in a existing modified bitumen system that had moisture in specific areas that were found through moisture testing. So the rapid vent, as you said, you got your two-way marathon vent. Looks just like those vents that we've all seen up there when we do restorations or a layover to, over time, allow some of the moisture that's encapsulated in the system to dry out, hopefully. And then you have the component that sits on the top of it that has almost like a turbine and a solar panel on it that's going to extract and suck the moisture out. Obviously, that's charged up by the sun. So they put this on there, and then a couple weeks, we went back, and this area that I saw with my own eyes that was wet and it had moisture was dry. And I was like, wow, I just saw this system get dried out. This is something that we absolutely would have cut out. Now, I think one of the key things to say here is this rapid vent system is phenomenal when the existing system is a prime candidate for it. I just want to make sure nobody thinks we're miracle workers. If you got saturated lightweight concrete and we're shoveling out with a shovel and a wheelbarrow, we're not drying that out. Always is a prime candidate and it fits within the parameters of what this vent can do, then it's phenomenal. So what I did after that is I went to Tropical and I said, hey, I want to ask you guys a question. How many roofs annually do you lose because there's too much moisture in the system, above 25%, where that specific contractor cannot sell, removing it and then replacing it and going over and getting the manufacturer material and labor warranty? And this blew my mind. I'm thinking maybe 10, 15%. TRP, owned by Suprema, is losing half of the roofs that they see per year due to saturation levels in the existing system. And when I heard that, I said, okay, there's really something here, right? Since then, we've built relationships and spoken to Carlisle, Everest, FAR, Fluid Applied Roofing, Tropical Roofing Products, and Geico. And all of them have been an advocate for getting the existing system dry. Because here's the thing, you can cover up water, you can talk about the thermography satellites, all kinds of different stuff, right? The reality of it is, if you read your manufacturer warranties, I can tell you for TRP, it's number 4. If there's any failure from moisture trapped or encapsulated in the existing system, they're not covering it. It doesn't matter what you pay per square foot. It doesn't matter what specification you put down. It doesn't matter how many photographs you have in your company cam link showing the spec is. If they can prove moisture, you're on your own and you're getting bit. And water just damages everything. So we found something that's warrantable, You know, we didn't talk about that. So let's say that RedDry comes out there, we do a moisture scan, we partner with their manufacturer, do a moisture scan, we partner with you as the contractor, do a moisture scan. Somebody's going to find out, you know, what's going on as far as thermal anomalies beneath the roof line. We map out where these vents need to go, how many vents you need, and they actually get installed during the application or the layover. That way they qualify for the manufacturer warranty, and we come out and test them. And Adam can talk about how often we test them. And if for some reason it's not dried out over time, that cost goes to RedDry to take care of the removing of the wet system. So it's a warrantable solution if it's a prime candidate. So now we're solving a problem to bring in more roofs. It's a warrantable solution. We have a contractor, being myself, who's actually verified it. Here's what I like about it. Let's talk about cost and value. Cost, this will go to the contractor at $2.50 a foot. We recommend the contractor selling to the end user, whoever that may be, the person paying for the roof, at $3.50 a foot. At $3.50 a foot, that person's making $1 a foot drying out the roof. Maybe they don't want to make any money drying out the roof. Maybe they want to be extremely competitive. They're making plenty of margin just doing the restoration or the layover itself, and they give it to them at cost. That's up to the contractor what they want to do. But they're making $1 a foot, which is going to be significantly cheaper than removing and replacing before the restoration or the layover. Here's why I really gravitated to it, besides the other things that I just mentioned. By the time I was doing the remove and replace costs and then the restoration as a subcontracted entity for GCs and other roofing contractors, they could go get a TPO layover, remove and replace in that area with either a fan fold or a high density recovery board, which is a much easier sale for a contractor if they're not experiencing high pressure fluids. And we were at the same price point. So with the rapid vent, it made it very easy to show the value in it because it had a huge cost savings to the actual contractor and the end user while having testing being done throughout the process. So that's the things that I think really drive this thing home. Is it's warrantable. There's moisture tests being done. There's testing being done, and there's a cost savings on all sides. And one of the things that, you know, RedDry has done very well at is, let's say, for instance, you have some people listening today and they have roofs that are 50,000 square feet plus. They think there may or may not be moisture into it. They can reach out to us. We'll either dry it, we'll either set you up to dry it yourself, or we'll work with the manufacturer, one of the several that I've listed, to get that dry. But we've also set up in place a rental system where we can get the Tramex out for impedance, and we can get the pinprick if necessary. We get the stuff out to the actual contractor so that they can moisture test the roof themselves. But here's the thing, that tastes great when I say it, right? But how many people actually know how to use an impedance or a pinprick or even do that stuff? You know, there's a lot of contractors out there that don't even think about that stuff. I was there at one point in my career. I made those mistakes and covered out water. I popped blisters and recoded things and learned. Now it's an everyday sales tool for me. I find the thermal anomalies, I place it in front of the customer, and it helps me educate and explain why I'm trying to approach them with whatever roof system it is that I would like to put on their building. So when you get the average contractor who's not aware of how to do the impedance, pinprick, or any type of thermography, the good thing is not only are we going to make sure that we put the Tramex in their hand, we're going to actually come out there and teach them how to do it. So now they're just put another tool in their belt, which is going to help educate them with sales, whether they use our vents or not. Because if they don't have a system that works for us, let's say it's lightweight concrete, it's completely saturated, we're not working miracles. We can't, the vent's not going to fix that. That would end up sucking up the concrete in the turbine anyway. But they still know where the thermal anomaly is at, so they can sell the remove and replace to the end user. So I see nothing but benefits kind of coming from it.
Hey, what's up, roofing contractors? Can you change your entire business or your life in one day? There's only one way to find out. You've got to come check out the Roofing Success Workshop. We've been doing these for a few years now, and the feedback we're getting is incredible. I'm taking everything I've learned and breaking it down into tangible workshop items that you can actually take home and implement in your business right away. We're going to cover the absolute most important things that you can implement in your business all in one day. There's 5 key categories that we're going to work on, plus a whole lot more. But one of the most important things, sales leadership. We're going to focus on sales leadership, making sure that you have a great system of sales and sales leadership in your business. We're going to focus on marketing, making sure you have an amazing marketing strategy, marketing plan to get the leads to then do the sales. But that's not it. our main focus is operations. This is where so many roofing companies fail, and so many roofing companies have challenges, and we're gonna give you some amazing keys and amazing tools for you to implement and to really improve the operations of your business. Production system, how about having an incredible production system for your business? We're gonna teach you how to do that, how to produce at a very high level and keep your quality very, very high. We're gonna teach you how to run your business by the numbers. And then what's the most important piece of a roofing business? The people. So we are gonna focus on teaching you our amazing, proven system to recruit, onboard, interview, hire, and train amazing A players for your business. If you can put all these things together, imagine what your business is gonna look like. In one day, we're gonna give you all these amazing tools. Check out the Roofing Success Workshop. It's coming up in September, the 18th and the 19th. I can't wait to see you there. There's gonna be some amazing people. Last time we sold this thing out. So this thing is happening in Dallas, Texas this year. We went to the heart of the storms, the heart of the country. And so if you're in and around the Dallas area, there's no excuses. Mark off your calendar for September 18th and 19th. And I cannot wait to see you there. Yeah, likewise, man. It sounds like you guys have really put in some energy. It's been a couple years in development, right? And now you're kind of really, now it's really starting to, come out to market and you really just kind of, and I appreciate you guys reaching out to me to kind of be one of the pioneers of putting this thing out there. I love that. And what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? Like, I mean, for one, I know Jonathan, you've always been an advocate just to serve the industry, and you're always there to help go on job sites and help people. I know you helped out my guys quite a bit, and a lot of my members, some of our TRA members quite a bit. What's the best way to get a hold of you guys? And if I want to kind of learn more about this, what are my next steps?
I mean, Randy, if it's good with you, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just put a link that'll be in for you directly from the show. And if they click that, there's a couple different ways you can click it, and you can get directly to my cell phone, and you can send a text from there, or give me a call. I know a lot of contractors haven't been in this industry now for 15 years, right? Like, it's easier to just click it, pick up the phone and call. If you want to go through though and fill out your name and email address, that's a great way too. And so we'll give two options for you, and just click the link in the description on your site, and and it'll get right to us.
Perfect. Yeah, that should work just fine. So you can just click below. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, it should be down there, or on one of the podcasts. Go ahead and find that. If not, you can reach out to any one of us on any of the social medias, and we'll go from there. So as we start to wrap, like, I'm going to circle back. Awesome. I love this. Like, love the journey. Like, it's just, even though I'm just like an innocent bystander here, like, I get excited when new things and entrepreneurship is happening, right? I get pumped up about that. So I'm going to kind of shift back to traditional fashion and put you both on the spot. Give me your best, piece of advice, your golden nugget for maybe a young listener out there that might be new in entrepreneurship, or has a product idea that wants to get it to launch or something. What's your best piece of advice? And I'm going to start with that.
I'll take the first one, which is, not necessarily product launch advice, because I'm not sure that I have the best one there, but I would say the key in my mind is you've got to be able to educate people, and you have to be able to be willing to walk someone down a path of education, even if they don't buy from you. That used to be, and probably still is today, I don't know how well this comment will age, but it's, smarter than the first page of Google. And you really have to be able to explain a concept to someone, explain about your product, to really be a knowledge source and be able to explain to them on their own perspective why it should matter to them. Because a lot of times we get told and sold things by manufacturers, specifically in the roofing industry specific, that they sell to us based upon our needs and the install time and the flash off time and the amount of, the smell and this and that. But if you're selling to a property manager, they want their pain to go away. They are dealing with the same pain every day, right? If you're selling to a facility manager, their reputation and their job's on the line. they're looking for something different because they're in-house and they're oftentimes seeing the guy with the money in the manufacturing facility, and if you're selling to an owner, that's their investment. And it's all about a cost versus output and longevity scenario and what their strategy is. And so understanding what part of the value matters to the person that you're selling and being willing to give that knowledge away. And that was one of the things, when I first met Jonathan, it was an instant click because he's willing to give away his knowledge in the roofing industry. And I respect that a lot. There's a lot of people that we hold tight to these things and that sort of stuff. But I feel like the ability to educate people, if, I have a saying that I toss around quite frequently, which is, great information without great communication is meaningless.
Yep.
And
there it is right
your
there.
ability to do something is your ability to do, but your ability to educate is your ability to share knowledge. And if you can do that, then you can impact a lot of people and you can get people to understand that you're trustworthy.
Man, that one saying right there is like a catalyst for success in life, right? Great information without communication is worthless. That's incredible. Like communication is so vital in everything we do. And unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of contractors are really bad communicators. I don't get it, but here we are. Focus on that and you will see some improvements in life. All right, Jonathan, bring us home, my man.
Sure, absolutely. Mine's going to go to the listener, whoever sees this, that let's say maybe they're thinking about starting a roofing company, or maybe they're thinking about opening a commercial division in their roofing company, or maybe they're just thinking about taking some type of jump feet first into some type of new business venture. Who knows what the buy box might be? Maybe it's passive investment, maybe it's semi-absentee businesses. Who knows? But I want to encourage those people because I want to look at some of my failures just briefly where I held myself up from success. And, when I roll that tape in my head, I think one of the number one things that I wish I would have learned earlier on, but I'm thankful for when I did learn it, was watch how you talk to yourself. The negative self-talk. I think allowing myself to talk myself into being small-minded, allowing myself at different times to kind of draw and drain my confidence. Will I make it? If I go broke after this? What if this doesn't work? What if I'm a failure? It wasn't until I learned to talk to myself different and completely understand that what's the worst that can happen? I might fail. Life's bigger than that moment and bigger than that circumstance. So I just encourage the listener, cut the negative self-talk. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And what's the worst that can happen? Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And that's really it. So anybody that's listening that maybe they're, and you know what the great thing is back to communication information, just to piggyback on this, because when I was learning these mistakes, you didn't have podcasts, you didn't have Randy Brothers Roofing Academy, you didn't have roofers helping roofers, you didn't have anything where you could just go walk up to a guy and he'd lay out the playbook. In 2024, man, all you got to do is get over your ego and pick up the phone. There's so many great people in the industry. If there's residential roofing guys here that want to scale, all they got to do is call Randy. And
absolutely. I'm one DM away on Facebook.
Yeah, literally, if you want to figure out something, you just see who's good at it, that has a real heart and passion for the people. If somebody doesn't want to see you win, don't talk to them. And find somebody that wants to see you win. And all you got to do now is get over the ego and ask. So, those people listening, if you're on the fence about something, go for it. And just get somebody in your corner that's done it and ask some questions, pick their brain. I like seeing people win. I like seeing people start new things.
Love it. All right, guys, man, it's been an awesome show. Great to have you back on. Jonathan, Adam, welcome. It is awesome to hang out with you. You can go to re-dry.com to kind of check out this thing I'm kind of looking at over here. Didn't want to butcher the show too much by trying to figure out the technology on the fly, but check out re-dry.com to check out RedDry. Hit up Jonathan Sherwood, Adam Capps, or myself, Randy Brothers, on all the social medias. And as always, like, subscribe, share with your loved ones, and take care. God bless.